Hey, take a quick look at what you're wearing right now. You probably think it's pretty simple, right? A shirt, maybe a jacket. But what if I told you that every single item in your closet has a secret official identity? One that's decided by a set of incredibly specific and honestly kind of bizarre rules that you've probably never heard of.
So let's start with this. Is that jacket you're wearing really a jacket? Because in the eyes of the government and global trade, its official name might be something completely different. And it all comes down to a rule book that turns your wardrobe into a fascinating puzzle.
So how does this all work? Well, it all starts with two golden rules. Think of these as the first two questions anyone classifying a piece of clothing has to ask, and the answers basically set the stage for everything that follows. Okay, rule number one is all about the fabric. Is it knitted or crocheted? You know, like a stretchy t-shirt or a cozy sweater? If it is, boom, it falls into a big category called Chapter 61. But what if it's made from a woven fabric, like a classic dress shirt or your favorite pair of jeans? Well, that puts it squarely in Chapter 62. This one single distinction literally splits the entire world of clothing right down the middle.
Now, the second rule, this one is a serious throwback to another time. It's all about which way the buttons close. If the front button's left over right, it's officially classified as a men's or boys' garment. If it buttons right over left, it's for women or girls. It's an old-fashioned rule for sure, but it's still on the books unless the cut of the garment makes it super obvious who it's for.
So that brings up a good question, right? What about unisex clothes? You know, a basic jacket that anyone could wear. Well, this is where it gets interesting. The default rule, it gets classified under the category for women's or girls' garments.
All right, once you get past those first two big rules, things start to get wonderfully complicated. Let's just take something as basic as a top. You might call it a shirt, or a blouse, or a sweater, but the official rulebook has a much stricter point of view.
So let's start with the humble blouse. The basic definition seems simple enough. It's a garment for women or girls, and it's designed to cover the upper part of the body. Easy, right? Well, the official definition doesn't stop there, not by a long shot.
For a knitted top to officially be called a blouse, it has to check all of these boxes. It must have sleeves, it needs some kind of opening at the neckline, and this is a big one. It can have absolutely no pockets below the waist. But here's the craziest rule of all. It has to have an average of at least 10 stitches per centimeter. I'm not kidding, they actually count the stitches.
So what happens if your blouse breaks one of these tiny rules? What if you stitch on a couple of pockets near the hem? Or what if it has one of those ribbed, stretchy waistbands at the bottom to make it fit a bit tighter? Does it just become a blouse with pockets? No way! The very moment it has pockets below the waist or any way of tightening at the bottom, it officially loses its identity as a blouse. Poof! It's instantly reclassified as something else entirely. Depending on its other features, it might now be a pullover, a cardigan, or maybe even a wind jacket.
And that feature, that tightening at the bottom, is often the key thing that defines a pullover. Officially speaking, a pullover is a knitted or crocheted top that usually has welts or ribbing at the hem, or maybe at the ends of the sleeves. That simple tightening feature is its main identity marker.
Okay, let's apply this same kind of hyper-specific logic to outerwear. For most of us, words like parka, anorak, and wind cheater are pretty much interchangeable. But to the classification system, oh, they are three very different things. This chart breaks it all down beautifully. Just look, a parka must have a hood, and it has to be long, reaching somewhere between your mid-thigh and your knee. An anorak also has a hood, but it's shorter. And a wind cheater? No hood at all. Every single one of these little details completely changes what it is. Now, this is one of my favorite examples of just how precise this system gets. Let's call it the t-shirt identity crisis. We've all seen this fashion item, right? It's basically a really long t-shirt. But at what exact point does it stop being a t-shirt and officially become a dress?
You're not going to believe this, but there is an actual chart that spells it out. Take a look here. For a size medium, a t-shirt with a chest size up to about 101 centimeters can be a maximum of 80 centimeters long. But if it's just 1 centimeter longer, 81 centimeters, it is officially, legally classified as a dress. The rules are that specific.
And the whole idea behind this rule is whether or not the garment can be worn all by itself. A dress is basically defined as something that can cover the body without needing you to wear anything else, besides underwear. So if that super long t-shirt is long enough to do the job, its entire identity changes. So we've covered some of the big ideas. But the rulebook is just filled with all sorts of special cases and wonderfully weird little rules for specific things. So let's dive just a little bit deeper, shall we?
Let's talk about a suit. What actually makes a suit a suit? Well, to get that official classification, it has to be a set of 2 or 3 pieces, and the outer fabric has to be identical across all of them. You need one piece for your upper body, like a jacket, and one for your lower body, like trousers or a skirt. A matching waistcoat can be the optional third piece.
Here's another good one. What's the real, official difference between a regular old pair of shorts and a pair of swimming shorts? You might just think it's the material, but as you can probably guess by now, the rules are way more specific than that.
Okay, to be officially called swimwear, a pair of shorts absolutely must have inner briefs sewn into them. They also need a way to be tightened at the waist, like a drawstring or elastic, and, get this, if there are any pockets, they have to have a secure way to close, like a zipper or Velcro. If there are no inner briefs, sorry, they're just shorts.
And how about baby clothes? What separates a garment for a baby from one for a young child? The answer comes down to a single number, 86 centimeters. If a piece of clothing is designed for an infant whose body height is 86 centimeters or less, it gets its own special baby's garments category.
So at this point, you're probably thinking, okay, this is fascinating, but it's really just a bunch of weird trivia, right? But here's the thing. These classifications have huge, real-world consequences. This is about so much more than just what something is called.
This incredibly detailed system is actually the universal language of global trade. A garment's official classification is what determines the tariffs, that is, the taxes that are paid on it when it crosses a border. A blouse might have a totally different tax rate than a pullover, so that one little pocket doesn't just change a garment's name, it can literally change its price.
So, go on, take another look at the clothes you're wearing right now. Think about the fabric, the way the buttons close, check for pockets, look at the length. Now that you know some of the secret rules of the game, what's its true official identity?